Dana White is back in the news for all the wrong reasons. The chief of UFC is under massive fire after a footage of him slapping his wife went viral. And now it seems like the heat from that has reached his beloved new show, Power Slap League. In this video, we'll be talking about how the debut of Power Slap League has been delayed and much more. Let's dive right in. First up, Power Slap League debut is delayed. Dana White is one of the most prominent men in the UFC and has literally built the UFC from the ground up. No matter what the guy is accused of in life, one just can't deny the impact he's had on the organization. In November 2022, Dana announced his latest promotion, and a commercial for the Power Slap League was released. It was licensed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. White worked tirelessly to get the league started and get the word out about it, but with the recent news and controversy surrounding the man himself, the Power Slap League may be on the verge of collapse. But for now, the show hasn't been canceled. The new fighting league was meant to make its debut on January 11th, but it's been pushed back a week. It looks like the debut isn't happening anytime soon. White's Power Slap League's time slot has since been filled with reruns of Young Sheldon. On top of all that, all the ads have been dropped, and the word surrounding the league is that official cancellation is also in the works. According to reports, only the paperwork is left. UFC didn't offer any explanation behind the delay, but it's not that hard to figure out why. The end of this deal comes days after the viral video of Dana slapping his wife came out, which we'll be talking about next in our video. Next up, Dana White slaps his wife. It was pretty clear from the viral video what exactly went down. In the 45-second clip, we saw that the Whites were celebrating New Year's Eve while on vacation in Mexico. The couple is seen surrounded by friends in their booth in El Squid Row, a multi-level dance club. Moments later, the UFC president leaned over to say something to his wife Ann. His wife, on the other hand, had her face cupped between her hands. Now, it was pretty obvious that Ann was clearly upset over something, and when Dana came closer and tugged at her arm, she reacted almost immediately and slapped him across the face. And literally in the blink of an eye, he slapped her back twice as she tried to block her husband's hits by keeping her hands up. He then pushed her down on the floor. This scene made their friends jump in and pull the husband and wife apart from each other. Dana was seen shouting, which we're probably guessing are some curse words, to his wife while she attempted to hit him again. And to think that both of them had been married almost 30 years. After his wife left through the back exit, White remained unfazed by the whole thing and continued on to chat with friends as if he didn't just slap his wife minutes ago and for no reason whatsoever. The whole incident was filmed by other partygoers, and TMZ released the video shortly after. Onlookers commented that the duo seemed heavily intoxicated. Whatever reason was behind the whole thing, the UFC's Supremo definitely crossed the line. An awful way to start 2023, isn't it? Moving on to what he had to say after the incident. Right after the video of him slapping his wife went viral, the UFC president was quick to apologize for the whole thing. He talked to the press and said that he was out with his wife that evening and that this unfortunate incident took place. Dana continued on by saying that he's one of those guys who has, at many times over the years, said that there's never an excuse for a guy to put his hands on a woman, yet here he was talking about it on TMZ. He also stated that, like all marriages, they've had their highs and lows. The UFC president said that his actions were pretty embarrassing. This isn't embarrassing, it's downright assault. He assured that there is no excuse for what happened and showed remorse over how he conducted himself. White pointed out that alcohol played a major factor in what happened. Ann White also gave a statement in which she defended her husband. Ann stated that he and Dana had been married for nearly 30 years. She said that nothing like this has ever happened between them, ever. Putting the blame on alcohol, Ann told the press that this was out of character for her husband. She wished that people respected their privacy and give them some space to get through this incident as a family. The couple have also stated that they're concerned for their 3 children and have shown them the video too and apologized to each other. It's truly sad to see childhood sweethearts displaying such behavior in public after many years together. Following that, were there any consequences for Dana White? Whether Dana will be able to overcome all this is unknown at the time, but as of now, there have been no consequences for him. Despite this incident, there have been surprisingly few requests for White to be fired from his position. This is undoubtedly due to the influence White has over the reporters and analysts who rely on his goodwill to gain access to the UFC stars. There's plenty of examples of what happens to UFC journalists who cross the sport's ultimate boss. Former ESPN reporter Ariel Helwani described by White on a podcast in December as a huge piece of was banned from all UFC press conferences and fights in 2016 for daring to question the official White-approved UFC line, particularly on fighter pay. So probably this too will all blow over for the UFC president. On the other hand, the Endeavor Group Holdings, the UFC parent company, has seen a drop in its share price. The UFC and Warner Brothers Discovery have both chosen to keep quiet about the whole incident. Then again, you can't really expect much from the UFC since they've remained silent every time one of its fighters has committed domestic violence. If this happened at any other league like the NFL or the NBA, then it would certainly play out with them losing their job. But we guess at MMA, a certain level of tolerance for violence is expected. Pathetic, really. It appears White still has enough support from important people at ESPN. Up next, what did the fans think? Dana White was wrong. There's no other way to put it. People were quick to call him out on this incident, and many even said that they weren't surprised by it all, given his whole history in the UFC. Many fans took to social media and started bashing him. One user wrote that the whole hate towards Dana only is highly hypocritical since his wife did exactly the same thing, so both of them should be called out equally. Fans even accused him of pulling this stunt to promote his new league, while some weren't even sure if the league would make its debut. We were honestly shocked to see that some of Dana's die-hard fans defended him by saying that this was a baby slap and nothing more. A Twitter user said that there's no way that this is the first time he's hit his wife, given his carefree reaction right afterwards. Even though the public wasn't too impressed with the whole thing, UFC fighters were quick to come to his support and defend the whole thing. Many of them applauded him for publicly apologizing about it, even though to us, that was pretty much the bare minimum he could do after pulling such a stunt. Just like in other viral incidents, many people on the internet decided to make fun of the whole thing and made memes, even though domestic violence is definitely nothing to joke about. UFC fans even wanted Dana to step down from his position, but that's not likely happening anytime soon, especially since White has apologized about the whole incident. Following that, let's look at some of his other controversial behavior. Not many of you will be shocked to learn this, but this isn't the first time Dana White has been caught up in controversy. First up, we have the tape controversy. In 2014, White was charged in a tape scandal after an exotic dancer allegedly captured a sexual encounter with him in Brazil without his consent. Just to remind you, this was during the time he was married to his childhood sweetheart. The stripper also claimed White had been seeing her for months. After that, the live-in boyfriend of the stripper tried to extort money from White or he would release the footage, which led to White filing a criminal complaint against him. The boyfriend was sent to prison for a year. After his release, the guy claimed that he was paid by White, so Dana took him to court. Eventually, the lawsuit was dismissed. It shouldn't come as much of a shock to fans that Dana cheats on his wife, considering the amount of allegations and rumors in the UFC world about him. We're pretty sure staying loyal to his wife isn't on top of his list of priorities. Finally, Dana White under fire for supporting Trump. Trump's a controversial figure, to say the least. Being his supporter comes at a high price, but White doesn't seem to care too much about that. During the 2016 Republican National Convention in Cleveland, Ohio, he endorsed Donald Trump's campaign and came under much fire from the public because of that. The two share a friendship that's been going strong for over a decade now. Much of his loyalty towards the former president comes because he claims that Donald supported the UFC at its beginnings when other venues had refused to host UFC events. In February 2020, he even donated $1 million to America First Action, which was a political action committee that supported the re-election of Trump. You might not support his political views, but it doesn't seem like it makes much difference to Dana White. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching. So, do you think Power Slap League will make its debut anytime soon? Let us know in the comments below. As always, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this.